Hello and welcome back. Well, this video is going to be pretty extraordinarily short. So, getting into selling disc media, there's a lot of positives about it. I mentioned that before, or media in general. However, getting into media definitely has its plus sides. So, one of the positive things in selling disc media is if you have stuff that otherwise accumulates or doesn't sell, there's avenues and relatively easy avenues on ways to get rid of your stale, non-selling, overflow, superfluous inventory. One way, such as I did today, was I took maybe 40, maybe 100 items to the CD game exchange. That was 40, probably about half in between CDs and DVDs. They took a total of 4 for a total of $11.80. That works for me. That's $12 back. So even if I was paying $1 each for them, I still, or however that math turns out, that's a pretty good score. My family, we do Christmas after the turn of the year. So the gift card that I get from the game exchange place, I give that to my nephews because they have a game exchange place right beside where they live at. So it's kind of a win-win-win situation. But I still come back with a bunch of stuff that they didn't take. The difference of that stuff that I have, I will open up another an app for a company called Declutter, and I will scan all of the stuff that I have left for that. And this run, they're taking 42 different things for a total right now of $26. Now, I'll wait for the banker's box to completely fill up, which will be right around 40, 50 bucks, or at the turn of the year when I go through more of my leftover inventory because I've run a bigger sale at the end of the year. So stuff I've had for 6, 8 months or a year that's just not selling and things like that. I go to relook it up, see if it ever will sell. If it doesn't really have a chance to sell, and if it's pretty much $12 or less, if only one has sold in a year, I'm just going to get the 30 cents from Declutter and just deal with it. So that's the process of doing that. So that's that part of disc media. The primary of this video is this book. So I dropped my stuff off at the CD Game Exchange. I went down to another thrift store, which I had just been at a couple days ago. Nothing new there. Well, yes, there is new stuff there, but they want $9.71 for a 2-disc version of Naruto, whatever that's called. $9.71. I was scanning them, and they're only worth $9. Well, a couple of them were worth a little more. I got a little lippy with the employee there, and I'll off topic. So I go to another thrift store right beside where the CD Game Exchange place is, and I'm perusing, looking around. I did pick up 4 books. One is called Div Grad Curl. It's like a $25 book. That was $1. Picked up a My Story Redemption by Maurice Claret. It's signed. I had sold one of these before. He's a football player. And then a first edition of a printing by Dalmatian Press of Moby Dick, which is like a $40 book. And this book that you're looking at right here. The sticker, which is not on here, I do have a picture of what the sticker was on this book, was from Halloween. October 31st is when this book was put out. A month and a half later, of all the booksellers that have come and gone through that store, and I know they do, this book was still there. Now, how is it I have a price of $331? Let's look at other pricings on other pages where you can find books. First, let's go here. This is Abe Books. Abe Books. There's only one available, and all I typed in was Laura and Ortiz or Homan or whatever I typed in, Lacey, and Laura Berman is it Lacey? Okay, yeah, Lacey's what I typed in. This is used. They're claiming it as new. $259. This is Biblio. Used, fine condition. $256. This is Amazon. Brand new, $333. And let's go to, assuming it's still going to be there, delete all that. Go Lacey, Ortiz. I could probably just type in just the general title itself. And we come up with this is going slow and choppy. Hardcover, excellent condition. So that would be used for $154. Signed by Laura, inscribed by Jean. So whoever has, so inscribed means that somebody is writing a sentiment to somebody. To John, thanks for buying my book. Derek. That is inscribed. Signed is anything that has the author's signature on it, even with wording beforehand. So that is signed, inscribed by Jean, so it would be signed by Jean. Anyhow, just a little bit of a difference. So signed ones, yeah. New ones, completely different story. So when I picked up the book and I just looked on eBay just to see what was listed, there are none listed. Besides that, and this book here, so then I hit sold. And I'm like, okay, that's a $100 book. I paid $3 for it. I'll buy that all day long for $3, right? So in this, somebody decided to put it in movies, music, books, and magazines. It's not a collectible. It's where some of these other sellers like, dude, it's not a collectible. It's just a regular book. But this is obviously used, right? Obviously used. And that's still $100. This one is obviously pre-owned because, it's listed in books. Look, how about that? In books, where it should be. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. I sold it much earlier, like a 1920s version of it, and it was like $2,000 a handful of years ago. And you're not going to get that for that. Either way. So obviously we know that this is used. So that's still an awesome used book to find. So the point of this video is while I had a big box full of CDs and DVDs to have the CD Game Exchange to look at, to buy, to see what they would take and kind of start narrowing down the stale inventory. I go to one thrift store. They're way overpriced on some of their stuff that they just brought out. And then I went to another thrift store right beside where the Game Exchange place is, and I find a $300 book. Their book section is massive. There's a lot of cursory, but I was there for like an hour and a half just looking, and I found 4 books because I was waiting. It just goes to show the items are out there. This 2 months old. You know what? I will put a picture. Since I have the picture, I'll put the picture of this. It'll be at the very, very end. I'll insert it. It has a price tag on the back that's covering up the SKU. That way we can see. The book was there for a month and a half. Nobody picked it up. The stuff is out there. Anyhow, like what you hear, like what you heard. Don't forget to like, comment, sub, share. It's all free. Appreciate it. Thank you.